President Trump slamming a reporter for asking why the White House blames former President Biden for failed vetting process during the disastrous Afghan withdrawal. Trump then went on to explain how the Biden administration made it nearly impossible to deport the Afghan refugees. To discuss, we're going to bring in right now co-host of the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show on News Talk STL in St. Louis, Chris Arps. He is also a Project 21 ambassador. Chris, great to see you.
Thank you.
You know, the alleged shooter was living, you're welcome, was living in Washington State with his 5 children and his wife before he drove cross country. So do you think, will anyone be held accountable for this failed vetting process of the Afghan refugees?
Well, I certainly hope that this shooter, who is still alive, I hope that he's held responsible for this. And I've heard that he's probably going to be charged with the death penalty since this soldier was killed. But I think the ultimate responsibility lies with President Biden and his administration. He is the one that resulted in the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan, a chaotic withdrawal that resulted in the deaths of 13 soldiers at Abbey Gate. One of those soldiers, Lance Corporal Jared Schmidt, is from the St. Louis area. There was no type of vetting for these Afghanistan people. We were trusting their own government to vet these people. And I think the ultimate thing is I hope that we learn who these people are that are in this country, and if they are potential terrorists, just as the president said, we should make sure that they are booted out of our country.
Yeah, and the president has called for stronger immigration control. Let's take a listen to this.
We have no greater national security priority than ensuring that we have full control over the people that enter and remain in our country. For the most part, we don't want them.
All right, President Trump continued on his Truth Social saying this: I will permanently pause migration from all third world countries to allow the U.S. system to fully recover, terminate all the millions of Biden illegal admissions, including those signed by Sleepy Joe Biden's auto pen, and remove anyone who is not a net asset to the United States or is incapable of loving our country. All right, I'm going to bring in right now, on our left, the editor-in-chief of National Memo, Joe Conason. Joe, good to be with you. So weigh in on this for us.
Well, that seems like a bit of an overreaction to me. I mean, obviously, you know, whatever additional vetting needs to be done should be done. But the Afghans who were let in here were, by and large, people who had aided our armed forces over there and the NATO forces against the Taliban, often at great peril to their own lives. And the idea that you're going to deport all of the Afghans, which I saw somebody from the administration had said, would be like saying, well, you know, Joseph Sacco and Vanzetti committed an act of terrorism, and therefore we're going to deport all the Italians who've immigrated to our country. I mean, it makes no sense. It's holding lots of people accountable for something that they had nothing to do with, and that doesn't seem like American justice to me. I don't know what that would accomplish, except to let people in the future know that if you help the United States, you cannot count on the United States to reciprocate.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about the president's post on Thanksgiving. It was pretty lengthy. He also had some strong words for Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota, saying this: hundreds of thousands of refugees from Somalia are completely taking over the once great state of Minnesota, and alleged that some Somali gangs were roving the streets looking for prey. The governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, does nothing either through fear, incompetence, or both. He also called out Ilhan Omar, calling her the worst congressman/congresswoman in our country. And this comes after the White House has ended protected status for Somali refugees after alleged fraudulent money laundering activity in the tens of millions of taxpayer dollars. So no doubt this post will be top of news all weekend long. Chris, I want to get your thoughts on this.
You know, as we know, President Trump can be very blunt in what he says about immigration or any type of national policy. But I think the ultimate message was correct, that there are unvetted people that are coming in this country. We're seeing what's happening in Minnesota, where Somalia gangs are taking over Minnesota and some of the great cities there. And these people aren't vetted. And I think that's what ultimately the president was talking about. Instead of the media pearl clutching about President Trump's comments, they should be discussing what the ultimate message of his comments were, is that we're having too many illegal immigrants coming to this country. We're having people that are coming to this country that don't want to come here for a better life. They're coming here to criticize America and to be like Ilhan Omar, who seem to be ungrateful for the chance that they have to live in this great country.
Joe, before we wrap up quickly, I want to get your take on all of this and what the president had to say about Minnesota.
Well, I haven't seen any evidence that Somali gangs are taking over the state of Minnesota. This seems to me like another gross exaggeration that we see on Truth Social from the president all the time. You know, he said people were eating the pets in wherever it was. And, you know, it's on and on with these kind of gross characterizations of people that don't bear much relationship to reality. And as far as money laundering is concerned, if he's really concerned about money laundering, he ought not to have pardoned the people he pardoned this year. He pardoned one of the biggest money launderers of all time, his crypto buddy, and Justin Sun, and you know, the CZ, Xiaopeng Zhao, who laundered billions of dollars, okay, and pled guilty to that. And the president just pardoned them. That's fine. So is he really worried about money laundering? I don't know. Somebody should ask him.
Yeah, Joe, and I think that was in Springfield, Ohio, where we're talking about the animals that some people were saying, yeah, that were being eaten. Now, there's a lot of concern. You're welcome. There's a lot of concern too of the people
there. The local
there.
officials said it was
all right,
nonsense.
Gentlemen. Yeah. All right, crazy stuff. All right, Joe, Chris, great to be with you, gentlemen, today. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
For having me.